ChatGPT is really good at sounding like your best friend. I got so much more shit done thanks to Gemini because it's built into the apps that I'm using every single day, and there's plenty of new AI features that nobody has been paying attention to that are freaking amazing. And in this video, I'm going to show you exact workflows and exact prompts that you can copy to get more done thanks to AI every day. If you don't know me, my name is Gael Breton, and I'm one of the co-founders of Otter.ai and System Stack, and we help companies learn and leverage AI and automation to get more done every day. But for now, let's get started. Now we're starting in Google Meet because I know a lot of you guys are already using AI note-taking tools that allow you to essentially just get the cliff notes of whatever happened in your calls, but a lot of people are paying for it. They're using tools like Otter.ai, and these cost $17 per month if you pay monthly, or $30 if you're in a team. It's literally like half the price of Google Workspace. And Google Workspace Gemini note taker that you can find on the top right of your screen here, and you just click on the Start Taking Note button, is actually really good. I'm going to show you an example in a second, and I'll make the argument it's more useful than these tools like Otter.ai because you'll be able to use the context of your call, including everything you've said, the entire transcript, for AI uses later. I had this real call with a real potential client the other day, and Gemini just took all the notes for me, and if I open it, you can see I have a summary, I have all the detail of what was discussed, and then the next steps, including a full transcript on the second tab. But the point is, nobody really reads these things. However, inside Gmail or any other Google app, I can use the context of the transcript of the call and the notes taken by Gemini to compose emails, to do documents, etc. So a real example would be that Mark wasn't on this call with Zafiris here. So I could just compose an email, say that I want to write to Mark, open the Gemini chat on the right, select my email replies chatbot that I've already configured to write like me, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then I can just paste my prompt here, which is very short and easy, draft a short and sweet email to Mark explaining what happened and what's next for this client. And then I'm going to tag the actual meeting transcript. So I'm going to say @Zafiris. I'm going to press enter and enter again. And Gemini is going to take the entire context of the call and write me a short email saying, hey Mark, quick update, Zafiris. He was looking into scraping architecture information, but I pushed for API access, blah, 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 blah. And then I can just click on insert. And then I can just add my subject line and send it to Mark. And just like that, I can keep anyone I want updated based on my meeting notes without having to write any complex prompt because Gemini has the entire context of everything. Now, when you read your emails, you can also ask Gmail to actually summarize your emails here by just clicking the button, and you'll see they'll be summarized here. But also you have the quick reply thing with AI, which is really handy. So for example, this person is asking for a guest post on our site, which I get about 50 a day. They're really annoying. So I could be like clicking here, help me write option that I could click on. And then I'm going to say, tell them no. And create, and Gemini is going to make a polite answer, much more polite than I would have, and could insert and send. And that's how AI can help me just essentially get rid of useless emails. Now, one more thing that you can do is using this chat on the right by clicking the little star on the top, you can actually ask questions about your overall inbox and potentially important things that you have missed. So for example, I can ask, what are emails I should urgently reply to right now? It's going to scan my inbox, find some emails potentially need to reply to. So you can see I got an email from SEMrush, and I got some guest posts, definitely not very important. But there is some that could be interesting, and I can actually see the emails here, click on them, and actually just go and check them right away. So that's really handy if your inbox is getting flooded with a lot of emails. AI can help you find the ones that are actually useful. But it's not just Gmail that got a big glow up. Actually, Google Sheets is one of those that most people are ignoring that's super powerful. So actually here is a spreadsheet that I should probably not share with a bunch of our affiliate commissions over time and how much money we've made from each affiliate program. I'm not going to scroll through because I don't want to give away all the data, but it's a bit annoying to go through all that data and analyze it yourself. So now I can click on the little Gemini star on top, and I can ask questions about my data just in natural language when I can say, so for example, I can ask what affiliate programs are declining the fastest right now. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to run some proper analysis and run some formulas and do some reasoning actually. So you get a good model here. And it's telling me exactly which affiliate programs are decreasing the most now, which is Flying Press, Carousel, SEMrush, perf matters, WP rocket, which is a lot faster than actually having to go through all of this or even resorting the spreadsheet or anything like that. But you can also ask Gemini to visualize the data for you. So I can ask to make me a graph of revenue per affiliate program of all time. And you can see that it just made me that graph. And if I wanted, I could actually just insert it. So I could click here, it would make me a new tab, and you can see some of these. I'm not going to give you exactly which ones, but you can see some of them. But I can actually visualize all that data for me if I want to, which is really, really handy. But wait, there is more. Let's go back to our previous tab. You can see that we have a category that's WordPress, funnels, etc. And that's something that we had to do manually because AI didn't exist when we started this spreadsheet. It's pretty old. But now I can actually use the new AI function to have AI automatically categorize companies for me so that I can create chunks and see which categories make me the most money. So let me show you how this works. I can just press equal, and then I can type AI, and then I open a parenthesis. Then I write my prompt in quotes. So I'll say, categorize this company in one of the following categories, only output category. Categories to choose from: WordPress, affiliate, funnels, SEO, MISC. And then I just close my quotes, I press comma, and then I select the company name. So I'm going to select the first one here, which is A2 Hosting. And I'm going to close my parenthesis. And now you can see I have this little hover thing. I can click on it and click generate and insert. So you can see it came up with affiliate, which I don't fully agree with, but let's assume it did a good job. The point is then you can take this and just drag it down and then categorize every single company if you want. So you can see I have this little hover thing, and I'm going to click on refresh and insert. And you can see that now it's actually trying to categorize all these companies, and it's not too bad. It's not perfect. For smaller companies, I guess it might struggle a bit. But the point is you can have AI mass process data for free for you in Google Sheet right now. But wait, there is more, because this was AI filling data, but you could have AI write formulas for you so that it calculates things properly. If you click on the little star here, you can actually, let's reset the chat, and you can ask it about a formula that you want to do. So I have this prompt here that says, create a formula that finds the name, column A, of the highest earning program, column B. And if I press enter, Gemini actually understands this in Google Sheets and is going to write a formula for me. And so you can see a formula I could not write myself, but I can just click on the insert button, click close, and you can see it came up with the name of the affiliate program that supposedly made us the most money. We are rich. So you can see AI can really do a lot for you inside spreadsheet, but I know a lot of you are probably using Google Docs more often. So let me show you some really cool tricks that you can do inside Google Docs with Gemini now. So let's open a new document. And if you click on File and then New, you will see you have this new Help Me Create. And let's go back to a real life situation here. Let's imagine I had a call with my client and I need to prepare a proposal for them. It's pretty annoying to prepare proposals. It can take time. So we're going to have AI prepare the proposal for us, and then we're just going to put the final touches on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on File, then New, then Help Me Create. And here you see you can essentially prompt AI to build a document that you want. But where it gets really powerful is that you can reference other documents to help you create the document that you want. So the prompt says, let's write a proposal for Doug based on, and then here I'm going to press at, and I'm going to search for my call with Doug. And I'm going to select it. And now the AI is going to have the context of the transcript of the call that I had with Doug, talking about the project that he wants to work with us on. Then I wrote the prompt saying the tone of the proposal should match Gail's tone in the call, which is going to be inside the document. We will do the following: 1, research technical implementation; 2, document the process and estimate the cost and present it to him; 3, build upon his approval; and 4, offer 30-day maintenance in case anything breaks, and the total will be $6,000. Remind him of the value of the process for his business, and the direct CTA is to respond to this email and will draft a scope of work contract. And if you just click on the create button, AI should take everything that we gave it, which is the context of the call, the prompt, but also my tone of voice and everything. And you can see in just a few seconds, we now have a proposal that is written for us that takes a lot of the details from the call, explaining exactly what he wants. So he talks about NA10 and HTTP calls, etc., like stuff that we talked about on the call. And what you can do is just have the finishing touches. So for example, I think this is a little bit long, so we could just highlight this. I could click on refine, and I could just say shorten. And now I can click on replace, and now you can see the intro is a little bit shorter. You can see that the AI also followed the prompt explaining exactly what we're going to do with the exact steps I gave it. It reminds him of the value. It's a bit long maybe, so again, I could probably shorten this. Yep, perfect. Except there's a few extra bullets, but that's fine, it's easy to fix. And it gave the right price as well. Now, what if I want to add an extra section here? Do I need to actually write it? No, not really. All I can do is I can click on my Gemini on the right, And again, I could pick one of the gems that I have already. I'm just going to pick my email replies one here because I don't have one for proposals, but I would probably make one. And I'll say, add a section that explains that the payment should be half upfront and half on delivery. Only write that section. But what I can do is I can refer back again to essentially the transcript of the call, so AI has all the context that it needs. So I'm going to say @Doug, find the call again. And in principle, AI should be writing a section that I can directly add. So payment terms, 50% upfront payment is required to initiate the project. The remaining 50% will be due upon successful completion. And then what I can do is I can go wherever I want to go in documents. So maybe after investment here, and I press insert, and you will see that this section has now been added. And you will see that now I've created my proposal. Now, if I don't like this image on top, I can also reprompt that. So I can click generate image, and maybe I'll say something about newsletter because that's what he wanted to some help with. Now I'll pick a style, let's say sketch. And now you can see we have a bit of a newsletter graphic, for example, that I can put here if I want to. Position it, and that maybe like this. And that's it. I have my beautiful proposal that I can send to my client, and it didn't take me any work, really. One more thing that is not necessarily very useful for proposals in this case, but that you might want to know about Google Docs, is if you go back to the initial window of the chat, you have this summary of content that gives you a summary of what happened, but you can insert that inside your document. And this block is going to automatically update as the document gets updated, which can be very handy for very big documents. And did you notice one thing since the beginning of this video? We've been using Gemini, but we haven't even opened the Gemini app yet. You can do a bunch of stuff with it, and I think now it's time to finally open it and show you some really cool tricks that you can do with it. Let me actually switch to the Flash model initially because I want to show you some quick stuff, and I like the Flash model because it's fast. It's the equivalent of 4.0 on ChatGPT. So I know a lot of people are teaching you how to build fancy AI agents to add calendar invites thanks to n8n and spend days and days doing this, but did you know that if you use Gemini, you can just add calendar and say, add a planning meeting with Mark at 8 p.m. And because this is Gemini and is connected to your Google environment, it's created that meeting, and I can just click on it and edit it in my calendar if I want to. And this works with pretty much every Google app. If you type @ you will see that you have Google Calendar, Google Keep, Google Task, Gmail, Google Docs, Google Drive, and everything in Workspace. And this is particularly handy for the next trick I'm going to show you. If I open Gemini 2.5 Pro, because I want a bit of a smarter model here, and I add Gmail, I can ask it to read my recent email replies and prepare a comprehensive prompt to teach an AI agent to write like me, include examples, and follow prompt engineering best practices. And if I press enter, because Gemini is connected to Gmail, it can go in my inbox, it can read my emails, and that prompt is going to be used inside a custom gem that we can call inside Gmail to write replies for us. So you can see my prompt is coming back, and you have a decent guide with a bunch of examples. Now you'll be asking, like, where do these examples come from? Let's let it finish to reply. But you will see, for example, that the examples are actually links to my real emails. You see all the sources that it actually used. And so that's a pretty personal guide here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this prompt, and we're going to go in the sidebar, and we're going to go into explore gems. And here we're going to create a new gem. And here we're just going to paste that prompt, and we're going to call it email replier. You don't need to do anything else. You can click save. And now the gem has been created. Now you could chat with it from the chatbot, but that's not very handy. What's very handy is to go back to Gmail, open an email that you have that you need to reply to, click on the Gemini icon, go into gems, and find the gem that you just created. And now I can say reply to this email and say I can't come. But the thing is, this is not just Gemini writing, it's Gemini trained on my style. And you can see that the reply is like short and sweet, the same way I would write. Thank you so much for the invite spotlight. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it this year, best girl. And then I could just click reply, insert, and then send. And that's really showing you the power of this ecosystem. Now, I also really like the Gemini app to like plan content and big projects before I actually get started, and I'm going to show you how I do that as well. Let's imagine that we're planning a podcast on Cloud Code and Vibe coding because I've been spending way too much time using Cloud Code right now. It's literally walking on my laptop next to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to first launch a deep search, be like, I want to create a podcast on Cloud Code. Find me advanced tips and tricks for it. I'm going to let Gemini go and research a bunch of that stuff, and meanwhile, I'm going to show you how to do some advanced brainstorming. Okay, the research plan came back and I clicked on start research and now Gemini is working. So we can start a new chat again. And this time I'm going to use the canvas and I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a bit of a bigger prompt inside Gemini here. And its job is really to, one, poke holes into the things that I want to talk about in the podcast. So I can just like blab and talk. And it's going to organize our chat into tidy notes on the right that it's going to update as we chat. So I'm going to press enter so you'll see exactly how this works. So you can see it's reasoning. It's a reasoning model. Gemini 2.5 Pro is not super fast, but it's super smart. And usually the waiting time is worth it. So you can see that I told it that I want to make that podcast on vibe coding, and it's going to poke back against me. And it's telling me what the listener might feel when they actually see the episode. So they're like, oh, you and I know vibe coding, but as a brand new listener who saw the title, my first thought are, am I smart enough for this episode? Is this some high-level developer talk that's going to go over my head? And then it challenges me. It says, how can we restructure the very beginning of the episode to lead with a jaw-dropping story? And within 60 seconds, the listeners know exactly what's in it for them. And then I would just reply like I would reply to someone I'm talking, like Mark, for example. So the story is really the fact that I'm not a developer. I don't know how to code. I'm pretty technical, but I don't know how to code. And I was able to build an app that I paid $12,000 for in 3 days. And it's live on the internet and people can use it and it's working. And really, I think I want to highlight the paradigm shift on the fact that people can now build things on the internet, unlike maybe even a year ago, because AI is so good right now. And so like my transcript would go through to Gemini. And what Gemini is going to do is it's going to understand what I said, update the structure on the right, and then eventually push back on me again and be like, okay, that works, but maybe this doesn't work. How do we perform a deeper dive into a segment that crushes the self-doubt? What is the very first, most concrete, least intimidating step a complete beginner could take to experience the magic themselves? Well, I think the first step they could take is actually using the Gemini app and the canvas function. You can describe an idea that you have for a very simple tool, and it will build it for you. And what's really cool is the Gemini canvas app allows you to connect it to actual AI APIs. So you can build a small AI app just by describing it, and it requires not even seeing the code. So I think that's the first step people could take. And then Gemini, again, is going to update the canvas on the right with some elements that are interesting from what I said. And that's a really easy way to get ideas out of you if you're not really good at note-taking or organizing your ideas. And I think for a lot of you guys, before you jump into something, that's a really cool way to use the chatbot for that. Now, before we wrap up this video, I want to show you one more really cool trick that works, again, with Google Workspace. So I'm going to go and use NotebookLM this time. And I'm going to be using NotebookLM in a way you don't think about it. So I'm going to create a new notebook. And here, what I'm going to do is you can bring Google Doc. And remember that Gemini did all these call transcripts for us, right? So I'm going to go and find a bunch of sales calls transcripts. So I'm going to type Gemini. Hopefully I can find a few. So I think this one is a sales. Yeah, this is also. I think this is also. Let's take this 4 only. So now I have 4 sales calls transcript inside my Gemini, inside my NotebookLM. And what I can do is I can go in the settings here and I can change how it behaves and what it tells me, basically. So I'm going to click on the custom here and I'm going to paste my prompt here that says, act as an expert sales coach, analyze these call transcripts, synthesize the patterns across all calls to find what helps and hurts the close rate. Give feedback on 2 lists. Recurring strengths and key improvements. For every point you make, you must back it up with specific direct quotes from the call. And I'm going to make it longer answers so that it can take its time. And then I can click save and I can say, analyze these calls and tell me how to close better. And I'm just going to send it. And essentially, it's going to have the context of all these calls. It's going to act as a sales coach. And it should tell me what I'm doing good and what I'm not doing so well. So you will know if you ever go on a sales call with me, what you can expect. And you can see the answer is now coming in. Recurring strengths, proactive problem identification, demonstrating expertise, blah, blah. That's real calls as well, so it's quite interesting to read. But key improvements. So we can see like proactive pre-flight research for deeper tailoring. So basically research your leads more. Okay, and I give you some quotes like what I said, for example. Earlier clarity on pricing frameworks for initial engagement. Again, yeah, we're not very clear on that. Stronger differentiation against alternatives. Okay, makes sense. Manage the scope, time of expectation, and initial discovery. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And what I can do is, as I get more calls done, I can bring them in and I can ask what I'm improving or not improving, and I can even generate a podcast about my sales calls if I want to. But I have a creative way to use Notebook LM to analyze you and to help you be better. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was how I use Google Workspace to get a bunch of stuff done. There are other tools like on slides and on vids as well, etc., but I don't really use them, so I didn't want to talk about them. But honestly, Google Workspace is a powerhouse now if you actually learn how to use these tools. And I would argue because it's built into Sheets, into Docs, into Gmail, etc., it's actually more useful than ChatGPT, because it prevents from context switching and having to switch tab and having to switch app, which is really distracting when you're trying to get work done. So I hope this helped you be more productive. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.